What's up, guys? Today I decided to talk about something that I rarely talk about, especially since we don't have any news yet about the next game. Um, I wanted to talk a little bit about online multiplayer racing, which those of you who do follow me know I'm not a big fan of online racing. I'm more of a offline career mode guy. There's reasons for that, which I'll get into, but I don't talk a lot about it, and I think that it's fair to talk a little bit about it because I do have ideas on what can be done to improve it. I don't think there's a fix because I think that the biggest problem with online racing is not something that can be fixed. So let's get into it. So basically, the reason I like offline career mode racing more than online is because, quite frankly, the offline is designed to give you the experience of a NASCAR race. So the AI is programmed a certain way, and when I play these games, I want to play it and experience as close to possible of what it's really like. Online racing has absolutely nothing to do with what real NASCAR racing is about. Now, theoretically, people say, oh, it's better to race real people. It's always better. Not really. Because from everything I've seen and experienced, it's a frustrating mess. Now, those of you who do race regularly and have specific people you race with and you know these people, yes, I will concede that under those circumstances, yeah, you could probably get some enjoyment out of it because you're racing people you know and trust. But the bottom line is, when you look at online racing overall, that is not the average person's experience. You know, most of us don't go through that feeling out period of getting to know specific people and how they race and then linking up and creating a league and all this stuff. It's a lot of work. I don't got time for that. And that's just not the experience that the average person goes through. I would say 90% of these races, at least, it's just people dumping into random lobbies and you got what you got, which is a big fucking mess. Also, I like to run long races. And for me, that is much closer to a real NASCAR experience. Running a 5% or 10% race, to me, is a joke. It's a sprint. These are what I call sprints. And the majority of people that I see online, this is all you see, is these lobbies of these quick sprints. And they're all mostly at Daytona and Talladega. People love that stuff. I don't get it. I hate restrictor plate racing. I don't mind doing it. If you're going to do a 100% race, or at least 50%, I could get into that. Because there's more involved. And you have time to make adjustments or just figure certain things out. For me, NASCAR is a marathon. It's not a sprint. And that's what makes NASCAR NASCAR. It's not a quick sprint, you know, where all hell breaks loose and you're just, you know, bulldozing everybody out of your way. But that's the majority of online racing. And that's the biggest problem for me, is that people are the problem. They're the ones that ruin these races, either purposely wrecking people or they just can't race. So you don't get that offline. Offline, yeah, it's more scripted, but the AI is programmed to run a full NASCAR race. And, you know, there is a strategy to it. My problem with, you know, I've already talked about the issues. And, yeah, the AI needs work. It needs to be more self-aware. The pit strategy is horrendous. They need to fix that. And, of course, Last but not least, the AI pit strategy, not the pit strategy, I just said that, but the cars don't spread out or take forever to spread out at most tracks. So it creates a situation where you're forcing your way through the field in spots you shouldn't be in, and it's just not enjoyable, and it's not realistic. You know, you watch any NASCAR race, after 2 or 3 laps, the cars already start spreading out. I don't know where people get this notion that keeping these cars bunched up in a pack is fun. Like this all-star race that we saw, and I'm talking about the real stuff, the real deal, not the game. People fell in love with this all-star package, and they think it's the greatest fucking thing. And I promise you, if they ever bring this to regular tracks on a regular length race, it's going to be a disaster. And I honestly cannot sit through that. But that's neither here nor there. That's not what this video is about. But people want to race at Talladega and Daytona, and they only want to do 5-10% races. I mean, that's it. The sprints are not what NASCAR is about. And it creates also, you already got people wrecking people and just don't know how to drive and forcing their way around and not being patient. This only makes that much worse because there's only a handful of laps to get to the front. So now you're making people even more impatient, and they're going to take more chances. And I'm talking about the people who actually trying to race clean. People that are just there to, ruin everybody's day, they're going to keep doing what they do no matter what. But that's another reason I hate these short sprints. That's not what NASCAR is, man. It's about methodically picking your way through the field, figuring your car out, working on it, thinking ahead, right? And methodically moving forward. And that's the enjoyment. That's what I find enjoyable. It's a marathon. That's what I mean by that. So when I play offline, I usually run 50% to 100% races. A couple of times that I've run shorter races is if I'm doing a video. I did a few videos. From time to time, I might do one. I did one recently, and you guys saw, for those of you who saw it, you saw the problem with the AI. They don't spread out. It feels like you're at Talladega or Daytona, whatever. But the bottom line is, this is why for me offline is always going to be more important, because it's designed to give you that authentic experience. Online racing is really up to the people, and I have zero faith in these online people, that just randomly come into lobbies, and it's a mess. And once in a while I'll jump in, like before I do a career mode race or offline, I'll jump on real quick just to see. I might get lucky and have a fun race. And again, you see lobby after lobby, it's just these sprints. That's not enjoyable for me. So these are the issues I have, with online multiplayer. And like I said, this is why you can't fix online, because it's so dependent on other people. They can do whatever the fuck they want to do. And it really doesn't matter what the developer does. They can still ruin it for you. So I don't want to be at the mercy of other people because of that. Yes, you can find people and I've had people invite me to all kinds of races, and you come race with me and my friends. We're great. We're clean. The problem is, another thing is, my work schedule is hectic. I can't really join any dedicated leagues and stuff. It's just too much work. It's so hard to try to organize. And I spent a lot of time online racing in Heat Evolution. And it's just, I joined several leagues, and it's really cool guys, right? Until something happens. And it always fucking happens. And I don't think I've ever been in a league that lasted more than 2 races before people just quit. and started spreading out. And then guys that were in that league that quit would start their own league and send you an invitation, and it's like it's a waste of fucking time. And I'm talking about in groups of people that everybody seemed to get along, but there's always a misunderstanding, and then there's always people. It only takes that one incident to ruin it, and it's a huge waste of time. I get nothing out of it. I've never enjoyed online racing as much as the offline. I just don't. I know that there's a lot of hardcore people out there who don't even think it's real racing. To me, as long as the AI is challenging and provides you a sense of realistic racing, at least as much as it can, that's good enough for me. I'm not here to impress anybody. I really don't care what people think. The main object of the game is to entertain. And is it entertaining to me? And it is way more entertaining for me to play offline than it is online in terms of racing. I've never had a good experience. Now, when you play something like Grand Theft Auto, right, there's a lot of racing there. I do a lot of racing, but you know what you're getting. It's Grand Theft Auto. I don't go there expecting anything. But in a NASCAR game, it's a sports title. I expect a lot more. But the developer cannot be to blame for that. It's the people are the ones ruining it. Now, as I said before, even though there's no fix for it, I do think there are things they can do to incentivize people to run longer races. And if they're running longer races, they're not going. Maybe they won't be as quick to drive like idiots. So one of the things that I think is, first of all, the stats in the game now is garbage. I'm assuming we're going to get real stats, a nice comprehensive compilation of stats. Wins, top 5s, top 10s, DNFs, laps led, all that stuff, right? I want it proper. But here's the other thing, and I've talked about this before, and people did not like when I suggested it, but I had suggested that you should not get any stats unless you run 50% or longer races. Now, people right away, they were like, oh, no, 50%, please, no, 25%. Now, of course, I, said, okay, you know what, if that's the way everyone feels, fine. It's better than nothing. But at least run 25% before you get stats. If you don't run at least 25%, you should not get any fucking stats. It's ridiculous to see people with 1,000, 2,000 wins and all they do is quick sprints. That's not impressive at all. It's a joke. It waters down the whole idea of these stats. Stats are supposed to represent something. And I'd much rather see stats for people that actually invest the time to run long races and race seriously, rather than just a guy with 2,000 wins and really he races like 100 races a day, or whatever. Just quick 5% sprints. It's a joke. And it doesn't incentivize anything. So I think that if the only way you could have stats is to run at least 25%, I think that would be a good thing. I think it would incentivize more people to run longer races. Not everyone, but some. Personally, I'd like to see something between 50 and 25%, which is, for me, you got to give people more options. More options is always better, but maybe a 35% race. And then you could make it where you have to run at least 35%. So it's not 50%, but even to me, 25% is too short to give people stats. But I think when you look at it now and you see the stats online, I'm not happy with the stats, but forget about that. That's another story. But just to see people with X amount of wins, and it's a joke. It's watered down. It takes away all the meaning of having all these stats. They don't mean shit to me. So I think that would help. Like I said, more options is always better. How about giving people the option to run a ghost lobby? no contact, where you see a ghost of every car, but you can't physically make contact with them. You could still have a decent race that way. Is it realistic? No. I know a lot of people don't like it, but just as an option, it's not going to hurt to have it in the game. At least you can run a ghost lobby, and then you're just racing really each other's times. It's still challenging. It can be fun, and it gives people an option, right? That might want to race other people, but don't want to have the races ruined by idiots. So, just as an option, let us have the ability to run a ghost lobby. As I said, with the options thing, more options are always better. Let the guy running the lobby, let him start the race whenever he wants to, right? Run any length race, more options, the better. The other thing that I'm really disappointed with, and I think I know some of the reasons why it's failing, but the AI online, the ability to add AI, I still think it's a great idea. And I think it can work if it's implemented properly. Now, last year was the first time, so I could give 704 somewhat of a pass, right? It's never been done before, but I think they've proven that it can work, but right now, it needs a lot of tuning, right? The problem with the online AI is, one, the same problem I have with it offline. They don't fucking spread out. And that creates a problem because now, because people run short races, right, they don't have as much time to get to the front. So it makes them less patient, and they're going to drive like idiots. They're going to bulldoze their way around, and it's just going to create more wrecks. And having the AI there is just going to be like more obstacles in their way. And if they're only running a 5-10% race, it doesn't make sense to have AI there. And I think that's one of the big reasons why hardly anybody's running AI. Now, when I go to every time I go online, you see all the lobbies, and you only see one, maybe two at the most, where someone's trying to run with AI. But you see they're only running a quick sprint. That doesn't make sense. And because the AI is, they don't spread out, I think people don't want that in the game. It's like in the way. They'd rather just run a group of people. So I really want 704 to improve and work on that AI online. If you can have them spread out, if the pit strategy is fixed and they're more aware, right, then for me it does what it should do, which is provide a buffer between you and the other drivers online. So I think it would help promote better racing. And instead of having a lobby with 11 or 12 guys trying to crash into each other, you have this AI that kind of keeps a buffer between you and the other drivers. And you're still racing. But see, this can only work on longer races. If you're just running quick sprints, then you're stuck behind a bunch of AI cars and you're trying to get to the front. This is why I think people don't run with AI. The other big reason is that the AI online is a lot more erratic than the offline. The offline, I've given 704 a lot of credit for making them stable, right? They have their issues, but they do have some good points, and they do run much more stable than AI we've seen in past games. The problem is the online AI is nowhere near as stable. They are kind of all over the place, and they do drive very erratically and even over-aggressive at times. And that, it's not a good thing. So the online racing with the AI needs work. But I really hope 704 puts in the time and effort to improve that. Because if they can improve that, I do think that can help improve the racing online, right? As for what else, what other reason they don't want to run AI, like I said, people, that's just, it doesn't seem to be that popular. And it bothers me because I do think it could be a benefit, but there are, the reasons I've stated, I can understand why people are shying away from it. But it's a shame because I do think it's one of the most innovative things anyone's done with a NASCAR game. I never thought it could happen. And they actually made it happen. It needs work, but the potential is there. So I want them to keep working on it. I don't know. There's not too many other things they can do to incentivize longer racing. And it just bothers me. People don't want to run long races. It's so unenjoyable, man. And I keep trying. Once in a while I'll jump in and I can't. I just can't get into it. The other thing that I think they could do that I really should focus on and I think would really help, they gotta have a way to run an organized league that's fully supported with stats and a point system, right? So people that even do run their own leagues right now, they gotta do their own calculating, to point system, all this other stuff. It's really a mess. When the game can do all this for you, it would so much improve everything. And it should be set up like a page, right? So you as the guy who's creating this league, you're in charge of the league, you run it. And you can set all the options, right? Including the length of the races, the schedule, right? The chase schedule, if you want to break it up into a chase, if you want to do it old school, anything you want, you could set all that up in the main page. And then the people that want to join the league, they just got to click on, and of course the guy in charge, he can accept you or reject you if he wants. And every member of that league will be in that page, and you can set it up so the races will take place on a specific time and date. So you could say, my league's going to run Thursday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern. So if you're in the West Coast, it'll break it down, and it'll say 5 o'clock. 3-hour difference. So you can run it by a schedule. If you don't show up, you get a DNF. At any time, the host of the league can kick people out of the league for whatever reason that he chooses to. But you give someone control and an organized page that breaks everything down in a point system. Every player has stats, and it's organized, and I really think that would incentivize people to join leagues. It would be more fun. It's, the lack of organization, I think, really hurts the online racing, because right now that's what mostly it's just jumping in lobbies and running a quick sprint race, and it's a big wreck fest and people crashing into each other on purpose or whatever. I don't get any enjoyment out of that. And that's the big reason why I like offline. Because it is organized. It has structure to it. It has depth. Now, I don't expect online racing to ever have the kind of depth or presentation that an offline has. I don't expect that. And I don't think it's necessary. But you should be able to set up your own leagues and even organize the practice schedule and have qualifying if you want. All of this stuff should be under the control of the host. And if it's fully supported with stats and you can have all the options to choose from, you could fill the field with AI, or you could run as many people as you want. Like 704 deserves credit for actually being able to put 40 players, in a race. This actually works. It can work. So you have options there. So I mean, what else is there? Last thing. I don't understand why they can't make all 40 players be able to talk to each other. I mean, this works in other games. Everyone should be able to talk to each other. We haven't seen that yet. I don't get it. I don't understand why they can't make that happen. This works in other games. I don't want to just be able to talk to a handful of people and that's it. I can't communicate with anybody else. That's a problem. And it seems like a simple problem to fix. So I hope they do fix that. But bring some organization to the online. Make stats only available if you run a minimum of 25% races. This, I think, will help incentivize people to run longer races. And hopefully weed out these people that just want to wreck people. You're never going to get rid of that. And even with the implementation of these ideas, it's never going to guarantee good, clean racing. People are fucked up. And that's why online racing is such a mess. So it's why offline career mode is always going to be more important. And it should be the main focus. But I wanted to talk about the online multiplayer because I don't really do a lot of that. And there are things that can be done to at least help incentivize people and maybe promote better racing. So that's about it. I don't really have anything else. Hopefully we get some news about the upcoming game. Like I said before, I am excited that they're talking about that they're focused on career mode. But none of that means anything without details. And until I actually hear the details of this upcoming game, the longer it takes to get news, the more skeptical I become. And I'm like, if you know what you have and what you're working on, give us some information. They're being very cryptic right now. It's like they'll mention something, but it's very indirect. It's not directly talking about features or details of the game. It's just like teasing people. And yeah, the teasing could be fun and it could be a cool thing, but only if they have something really exciting to announce. And then when they announce it, it could be a real positive thing. But the longer this takes, the more sense I'm getting that maybe they're not 100% sure where they're going. And maybe they're experiencing some issues. And they're not ready. That might be one of the reasons they're waiting to talk about it, because they're not really on firm ground yet with this game. Again, that's just speculation, but I don't understand why they can't at least spill some details. It's taking a longer time. I don't know. That's just me. So, what do you guys think? Hopefully we get some news soon, and I look forward to your comments.